You know, I'm looking across this room. I think almost every single one of us, when we were kids, we were all asked one question. What was that question? What do you want to be when you grow up, right? Now, if you're from a South Asian family, they don't ask you that question. They just tell you what you're going to be when you grow up, right? So we just kind of had to make a hard right and figure this out. And I think that the big change up right here is the publications Fatherly and New York Life. They recently did a survey, the Imagination Survey, and they took 1,000 kids under the age of 12 and asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And despite the current era of cultural differences, financial hardship, political polarization, the top 5 professions that came out were vet, doctor, teacher, engineer, police officer. Universal themes of how you help admirable adult characters still stick around. And I think the challenge with this is that when we think about what do you want to be, we're focused on a title versus the impact we could have. And William Damon, he's a professor at Stanford University. He's actually the director of the Center on Adolescence. He did a survey looking at young people aged 12 to 22, and in his book, From Path to Purpose, he found only 1 in 5 young people could identify that thing that they wanted to do, and most importantly, the impact they wanted to have. So as we think about this notion of identity, I'll throw 2 questions to each and every one of you that I hope you think about during this talk, and I hope that you think about even after in the conversations we have. Who are you, and who do you want to become? Because every single person, every single successful leader I ever interviewed could answer those 2 questions. And I'll tell you this, the answers were 2 different destinations. And they were always evolving answers. Never complacent. Because I think the thing we realize about identity is that self-definition, well, that is a lifelong process. But there are some big challenges to what is happening with our identity today. We are creatures of habit. Duke University in the mid-2000s did a survey taking a look at why we do what we do, and they found 45% of our waking behavior is simply based on habit. So what's motivating us to act is our subconscious, our unconscious mind. You know, how do we break through that? The big 5 factors of personality research, they were finding the same thing, that the older we get, the less open we are to new experiences. And the challenge of that is our identities are then relying upon our past versus the present and the future of what we could create. You know, one of the most impactful things ever said to me was by the late Wayne Dyer. And this was before the interview even started. He was a thought leader for a generation, and the week of his 74th birthday, he came into our studio, didn't like to do a lot of TV, but we hounded his agent just to come in. And I said, hey, Wayne, if I'm lucky enough to make it to my 70s, I'm just curious, how do you celebrate your birthday? And he said, well, that's easy. I asked myself a question every single birthday. Did I live 74 years, or did I live the same year 74 times? How is routine holding our identity to the status quo?